Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Magically Cruising, the cruise podcast where we share our personal cruise tips and reviews to help you make the most out of your next sailing. My name's Kira, and I'm an independent travel agent specializing in all things cruise, Disney, and North America, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I write over at Cruising with Kids and Mini Travellers.
Brilliant. And today, Sarah, we're kind of going to go back to basics with this week's episode. And we thought, because we've been chatting about like our plans for 2025 and where we're thinking of cruising, it's gone into this big conversation we were having just now about kind of how do you choose your cruise, basically. Where do you begin when you're picking your cruise? So we thought we'd kind of tackle it from two different levels. We'd have a little bit of chat about how we personally approach cruising and when we're thinking of who we're going to sail with, kind of what the criteria are, but then also kind of just having a chat about things to think about, I guess, when you are planning your cruise. What do you need to think about? Which cruise line to choose, whether you're going for kind of one of the value cruise lines or one of the premium or one of the luxury cruises, big, small, large. Just kind of how do you navigate that space and kind of what tips we can give to people if they're planning their first cruise, where they begin.
Yeah, because it is an interesting one, because obviously we've got a reasonably large Facebook group now. It's growing all the time. And people come in all the time and say, I'm new to cruise. Where do I start? Because I think if you come in new into this whole arena, it is a bit overwhelming, isn't it? Because there's different ships, there's different itineraries, there's different styles, different budgets. So I think it is a very difficult one to navigate.
And like even within the cruise lines themselves. So like it's very easy to say to somebody like Royal Caribbean, book a Royal Caribbean cruise, and we can go into the reasons why, because I'm sure it'll come up this episode. But even Royal themselves, the ships and the class of ships will have a very different atmosphere and will do very different types of sailings, depending on the class of ship and the size of the ship as well. So it's not as if it's even straightforward as kind of going, oh yeah, definitely Royal Caribbean's perfect. And then somebody goes and books maybe Explorer of the Seas and they're like, oh, but it doesn't have the bumper cars, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that type of thing. You have to also as well, within certain product or certain cruise lines, know which ships do what itineraries or offer what for different families, because they could offer something different depends on the type of ship you book as well.
And definitely, and also with Utopia, because I'm in the Utopia the Seas Facebook group, and that's a completely different cruise audience.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that probably one that I'm not bothered for some of the stuff I've read, and because they're very much targeting the short cruise clientele. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not my thing. So it's finding your right genre within a cruise line. You're right.
Well, literally, as you said that, this sums up something, and I'm going to go off on like a massive rant about this, but it's just this frustration I have at the moment of we've had these Virgin Voyages cruises happening from the UK, and they've done 3, 4, 5 night sailings basically departed from the UK, and everyone is all talking about like how much of a party ship Virgin is and how much party is it. I've done this, and yes, it is, but that's because it's a 4, 3, 5 night sailing where it's very short and condensed, and it's over a long weekend, and that's what people are going on for. They're going on to have a party and enjoy themselves. You do that same ship in the Mediterranean or in the Caribbean on a longer voyage, and it will be very different. Yes, you'll have amazing nights, but during the daytime and the other days when you're sailing between the ports, you've got the glorious sun in the Caribbean and the Med. It's going to be very, very different. And I think this is why, isn't it? It's so important. We've done our little rant episode about kind of short cruises and why they're very different from traditional cruising. But even Virgin, that is a very party-heavy ship, is very different in the Med and the Caribbean on those longer voyages and those shorter voyages. So again, even that you have to be aware of the itinerary can also have a massive impact on the type of experience you have. Even with a brand like Virgin, Disney, Royal, the length of the voyage will totally change the type of clientele on board and the atmosphere and the vibe you're having.
Definitely. I mean, our last cruise, that was 5 night, was it? On Mariner. And that was short. That was, for me, too short, but that was long enough that it wasn't party.
Absolutely,
But when I did the 2 night, just never ever again. So what is your next one? How is that, a 7 night?
So this weekend, actually, at the time of filming this, I'm off on Scarlet Lady again. So I've done the Irresistible Med in May, and I'm bookending my year, as we like to do with Virgin, and doing another one at the end of the year. But we're doing the Irresistible Med and Rome. So it's the similar itinerary, but we've dropped Ajaccio, and we're going to Rome instead, or Civitavecchia. So it's a 7 night round trip, basically Sunday to Sunday from Barcelona. And for me, I think it's the perfect length for a Virgin Voyages cruise. Obviously, longer's better, but I think 7 nights, as you say, then is to get those peaks and troughs. You have that really great first day where it's really party, the sail away cocktail hour, half hour as it is now. You get that really good party on the first night, but then the second night, third night, then you're kind of out exploring the port. So the nightlife is a bit more quieter and a bit more relaxed type of thing. And then you've got Scarlet Nights where it all goes crazy again. And then you've got that daytime sailing to Ibiza as well then. So you've got the daytime to relax around the ship. So you get those nice peaks and troughs. And I think those longer 7-night or more voyages have those nice peaks and troughs where you get, a really good night out, but then you also got the day out to explore the ports and that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think I like that. We're doing the 2 week in a couple of weeks, and I cannot wait. Just 8 sea days, transatlantic, and we're going to exercise. We're going to have to exercise every day.
You will walking around that ship.
Yeah, well, I think our plan is 2 miles a day at least in the morning. But I plan to work from the ship and just to be able to just shut your brain off. I can't wait. And I think on that 5-night, that was the difference. I think we had 1 sea day, but it's just busy, busy, busy. And I hate the first day on a ship. Not hate it, that's the wrong word. It's exciting, but then it's chaos. And if you've never done it before, you almost feel like a rabbit in headlights. I think, getting that first day out of the way, and that's why they're longer, they're better, because you just get time to relax into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. I've slowly become more and more anti like 3-4 night sailings type of thing. They have their place in the industry. I'm not knocking them. They're a great way to try a new product. They're a great way to get a weekend away, but they are just very, very different to a 7-night or more voyage type of thing. You're going to experience a very different type on all cruise lines. I will stand up and say I've been on Virgin, probably one of the more party heavy ships in the industry at the moment, and she is not as party heavy on a 7-night voyage as she would be on a 3 or 4-night voyage. Just, it's not possible. People can't party for that long. I've tried and it's broken me. Like, you just can't.
And I'm all about relaxing, me. That's I'm not a party person.
No, you have to do both. Like, it's funny. We were going through video footage of our Disney cruise actually a few years ago, because I'm currently like writing a lot more content about Disney Cruise Line. And Phil's found this video, a 6-minute long video of me. I don't even remember filming this video, but I am so drunk and out of my mind to this video, because it was like my birthday. I can't remember which one it was. It must have been like 32 maybe, so we're going back a couple of years now, but I am out of my mind, completely drunk, wobbling down the ship type of thing. So even on a Disney cruise, which is notorious for having no nightlife, I made my own nightlife on a Disney cruise. So I like those peaks and troughs. I'll have a good wild couple of nights in the nightclub on Disney dancing. It's for me and the teenagers in the nightclub dancing type of thing. But equally, as you say, then the next day relaxing in the adult area by the pool, just drinking cocktails. Every cruise needs those kind of beats to it, basically, to make it really feel like a nice rewarding trip.
Definitely. And I like space. I like a bit of chill out time, and that's where you get that. So have you got any plans for next year?
Not yet. Loose plans. Obviously, we've just had some bad news with our landlords where they've decided to put our rent up by almost 50%. So we're just kind of holding off committing to anything, just whether or not I've got to find 50% extra rent next year or not. So that's put a bit of a delay on plans. But before that came across, the big one I wanted to do is I wanted to get back on Disney next year. I'm really, really keen to. The debate was, and is still, whether we do 2 short cruises with Disney, one from Miami and one from Port Canaveral on the oldest ship, the Magic, and the newest ship, the Wish. At the time, we're doing this anyway. Or save up our money and do one longer sailing, so a 7-night sailing on the latest ship that's launching next year, the Disney Treasure. That's what I really want to do with my heart, but there's a few logistics around kind of childcare with Milo and things like that about going away for such a long period of time from the UK. So that's what we're toying with, at least anyway.
I do think, though, we're very different beasts, and I think that's why this is really good, because I'm like a serial planner, and I probably do it to my own detriment. And then I see a bargain, but I'm already booked up for the next year. Where you don't, do you? You just go, I'm going on a cruise next month, and it's like, well, where did that come from? So where mine is organised to within an inch of its life. So we are completely different.
Yeah. And you can do it. I think me and Phil, in general, apart from like the dog care with Milo, we're quite flexible because we are self-employed. So we have that flexibility to kind of go, let's see what happens. Plus, also we work in the industry, so we get past deals, offers, and all that type of stuff all the time. So there's a bit of we're in a bit of a unique situation being part of the industry, that the stuff that we get offered sometimes, like Asian rates and things like that, or incentives or educational trips type of thing. Sometimes I've gone and booked far out, and I've kicked myself because something's come up very last minute, a last minute deal or something that we could have done. So I'm a little bit kind of, I like to have at least one planned in, one like the big holiday. And then we keep pockets free to see what comes up, basically, or what we can afford at the time. Next year is going to be a bit trickier for us at the moment. Hopefully, in a couple of months' time, the situation will be solved and I can rethink what we're going to do next year. But yeah, at the moment, it's difficult to kind of plan ahead. But Disney is on my, no matter how hard I work next year, I have to, even if I book one of the 3 nights from the UK, I think I'm going to desperately try and get on a Disney cruise next year.
I'd like to try it. I mean, obviously, my kids are grown up and it'd be me and Chris as a couple. But I'd like to try it because I know that from what you've said, the adult bars and,
Yeah.
and actually, I read something. Oh my God, what was it in? And, it goes back to this thing, doesn't it? Of parents thinking their kids are the most important thing in the world. There was a mum on a Facebook, it might have been in that horrible Facebook group, and someone had shared it. But this woman was basically saying, I think it's out of order that Disney have got adult-only areas. My kids
Honestly,
want
I
to enjoy
think I've
those
seen it.
areas.
Yeah.
And it's like, what planet are you on? Why can't everybody have a space? I liked that when my kids were little, because that meant that there were boundaries and they weren't bothering people that didn't want to be bothered because they could. So yeah, that really shocked me. But I would like to try all that. Definitely.
Definitely. I think for us as well, we've obviously fallen so heavily in love with like Virgin Voyages, and our original love was Disney. So there's a little degree of kind of like wanting to go back and try it now. We went on 2018 was the last time. So it's not as long as I think it is, but it's coming up to almost 10 years soon. And I kind of want to go back and just kind of rekindle that love that I had for kind of a more traditional cruise line anyway now. That does kind of first seating, second seating, where you do have to sit with people you don't know and have to do that whole awkward getting to know people thing. And, kind of having that more traditional cruise experience, but still done with the Disney magic and touch. That I kind of love that. And I think this is where it comes onto as well, of like when you are planning your cruise, what is the big criteria for you? Are you an itinerary person or are you a ship person?
I'm a ship, I think. I mean, Laura's not here to defend herself, but obviously she's a cruising celebrity at the moment, isn't she? Anyone, Laura from Cruise Lifestyle, check out her YouTube; it's fab. Look, she's definitely an itinerary person, isn't she? Where I think I'm a ship. Like when our last cruise, so the 2 cruises on this year, the last one, we chose Mariner for the ship because I knew I wanted to see what a Royal Caribbean amplified ship was like. And I wanted to go on a smaller ship. And you know what? I'd do that every time because I loved it. But then obviously for the transatlantic, that was the itinerary because I wanted to do that long sailing.
Yeah. I think I'm the same as you, and I think this is why we have a similar perspective on cruising. I'm very much all about the ship. All about the ship, the facilities, the amenities. And I keep saying all the time, if they could stick more fun things or quirky things on a ship, not that the itinerary doesn't matter, but I think I would choose a ship over the itinerary. If I was going for maybe the itinerary, then it would change my perspective on which ship I would go on. But like Alaska's a prime example. We talked about the Alaska situation. All the ships I love sail from Seattle. But I love sailing Alaska from Vancouver because you get 2 totally different types of itineraries. So I mean, kind of like almost purchase paralysis at the moment because I want to go on the Edge series ships. I want to go on the Royal ships. They sail from Seattle. But all the ships, the itineraries I want to do are all sailing from Vancouver. And they're on the kind of the more traditional, the kind of more timeless style cruise ships, if you get me, like Collins America, some of the older princess ships and things like that. So I'm stuck in this purchase paralysis of, how much do I love the itinerary or how much do I love the ship type of thing? And it can make a big difference to how you spend your time. If, the nightlife is the nightlife you enjoy, the dining you enjoy, the vibe on board. Because my big one, and I'll say this now, and this is kind of where my deciding factor of the cruises I go on now, is dress code. And it sounds stupid that would become like a stumbling block for me booking a cruise now, but I do not want to get involved in formal attire. I don't want to be wearing a shirt to go into dinner each night. I cannot stand any of that stuff now. I've gone the total opposite. So I will purposely book a cruise line where they have a relaxed dress code. That is my deal breaker now. I will not go on a traditional cruise anymore.
Don't they all anymore? I mean, because I always make Chris take his tux and he hates it. But he's not taking it this time. And he is going to wear a shirt and trousers. But he's actually taking a lot of shorts because the last cruise we were on, In fact, the last few cruises we've been on, there's been people in football strips in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So I do think there's that guideline, but I think it's follow it if you want to follow it. And I'm going to wear a dress and I'm going to wear heels most night. And I
Yeah,
know that
yeah, yeah.
Donna wears her trainers a lot. But as long as I'm happy wearing what I'm wearing, I
Yeah.
don't care what anybody else is wearing. And I think
Yeah.
that's where you get these people in the bloody Facebook group. Sorry, but they're like,
Still triggered by this Facebook group you
yeah.
were in that one time.
Oh, yeah. And oh, there was somebody in the dining room in a football strip. Well, I'd roll
Yeah.
my eyes at that person, but you do you. Why does somebody
Thing
have to go
is,
into Facebook and rant?
it depends on the cruise line, to be honest. So I'm thinking more along the lines of P&O, for example. They still can have quite a strict, not strict, it's
Yeah.
very casual. It's very much a shirt, but you do have to wear a shirt to go to dinner, or
Yeah.
you have to wear some sort of like smart casual type of thing to go to dinner on P&O. Cunard, for example. Cunard is a wonderful cruise line. Honestly, I've had an amazing time on Cunard. This
Yeah, I
isn't a
liked it.
knock on the cruise is bad. I love Cunard, right? They're fantastic. I just don't want to be on holiday and having to put on a collared shirt. It's not how I dress personally. So I'm going to be more inclined to book things like Virgin. We still dress up. We still dress up in like, our fancy outfits and everything, but it's just done in a different way rather than having to wear a polo shirt to dinner. That's just not my vibe. So
What was Celebrity last time then? Because it's a few years since I've sailed Celebrity. We're booked on
Celebrity
soon,
is,
and that used to be shirts and trousers.
it's still, they call it resort casual is what they call it on Celebrity. So it is still very much, they like you to wear a kind of collared top, but you could get away with a plain t-shirt and a pair of trousers. And that's fine. I don't mind that, but I just don't want to be going out in like a polo shirt and things like that. And I've had customers of mine who've been turned away from dinner on P&O because the t-shirt's got a logo on it or something, or is a branded like
Yeah,
catchphrase
I've had a
t-shirt.
friend.
And I can't be bothered with that stuff. And it's one of the reasons why I love Disney. You can rock up in your Spirit jersey and a pair of shorts and flip-flops at dinner at Disney type of thing. And it's just part of the decor type of thing. And some people, as you say, judge it and they're a bit like, that's too casual. It's how I want to be on holiday at the end of the day. If I don't want to get dressed up, I don't want to.
No, yeah, and that's why we've booked that land holiday in April. Because Chris wants a week of not having to think about stuff like that. But I'll still get dressed up. It's got fancy restaurants.
And do you get what I mean? People do like, and we do dress up. Like, don't get me wrong, but our style of dressing up isn't resort casual, if that makes sense. Like, we do, I don't know, it's like very different. It's the only way I could put it. I can't even describe how me and Phil dress, but we dress up in our own little way. Phil dresses up more than me.
Yeah.
I'm the more casual of the two. That's the thing. It's like our own style, like, but I'm more casual than Phil. Like, I'll wear, cargo trousers and a shirt, or cargo trousers and like a floral, like Hawaiian style shirt type of thing. I love that style. So I could probably get away on some ships, like Princess and that, but definitely like, the Cunards of the world, I probably would struggle to dine some evenings in a Hawaiian shirt or something.
No, my dad wants me on Cunard, and I think he likes a Hawaiian shirt, my dad. So, I mean, I think, did they do Hawaii? Yeah, they did. They did Hawaii.
That'll be why then.
You had the Hawaiian shirt on every night. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know where we're going with this. But where do you start to choose your cruise? I mean, obviously, I know in my head what I want to book for my next two cruises. I'm just waiting for them to come out. But where do you start with choosing? And that, what advice do you give to somebody that comes and says, where do you start?
And it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I've literally got an inquiry in my inbox I need to look at now. They've gone, I want to go on a cruise in Europe for 6 people. I'm like, great. So the way I work with people is just kind of like, I need a little bit more information on that. What type of atmosphere are you looking for? Do you want something value? So is price the deciding factor? Are you looking to go away, but you want to go away for the cheapest possible price? Then there are certain cruise lines that will be better for you than others. Are you somebody who values a little bit more boutique design, or are you somebody who wants kind of premium luxury? Are you somewhere, you have a particular port you want to go to? Like, I've always dreamed of going to Monaco. I've always dreamed of going to Rome type of thing. So is that the deciding factor? You don't care what ship it is, as long as you can afford it and it goes to Rome. You need some sort of parameter, if you get me, that matters to you, so that you can start narrowing down that list, because I'm pretty sure we can find it. It's just a case of working out what are the must-dos, if you get what I mean. Is it you need a ship that has a pool you can swim in each day? You need to go with a really great gym. It has to have a techno gym because you're a techno gym user. So they're really niche things, but if they're the things that matter to you most, that's what we're going to work out.
Do you have like a questionnaire that you should have?
I do
boxes,
on my website.
Tick these boxes.
Do you know what the funny thing is? And this is something you just learned to do in this game. Nobody wants to tell you because they think you're trying to upsell them. So these are key things I need to do. And what I do with my customers is I kind of say to them, look, I won't start looking for you unless you start telling me some of this information, because there are hundreds of ships sailing the Mediterranean and the Caribbean all year round type of thing. And this isn't me trying to upsell you. This is me trying to find you the right option. I want to make sure you get the best value for money and the best cruise for you. There's no point in me putting you on, Region Silver Seas if you're somebody who wants to go on P&O and you want to get that British Sunday roast and you want to kind of watch, a Beatles tribute band. They're two worlds apart, two different price points, two different experiences type of thing. So it's not me trying to catch you out to make more money out of you. It's about getting those little signals that I can kind of go, oh, okay, cool. You're somebody who really values, you want a kettle in your cabin. That's a deal breaker. You don't want to go up and walk up to the buffet every morning to get your coffee. You need it in your cabin. So we need to think of a British cruise line that puts a kettle in your cabin. These are all key things. And it's weird how come something as small as a kettle in the cabin is a deal breaker for some people. If it doesn't have it, they won't book it.
Do you know, I'm quite excited about having a coffee machine on the suite. Because, coffee focused I am. I mean, I've had 5 already today. Like I'm so I just can't function without coffee. So I do get headaches. So actually, to not have to get up and go and get, we always order room service and we pay for it, and because we want to have a coffee in the morning and chill out and get some breakfast. So to have an espresso machine is going to be, they've just changed them, haven't they, to Lavazzas? But to have a coffee machine is going to be amazing. But I think another thing you've got to think is if you've got kids, because if you've got kids, you're tired. Like, are they at school age? You're tired to when they want to have, when you can go on holiday. Obviously, that's more expensive, so you need to look for kids offers. Unless you don't want to go somewhere that's too kid centric, then avoid because we once went on a princess cruise, 3 kids, never again. There was too many kids for the kids club. That's put in the ballroom. Yeah. And it was like there was kids running on beds where there just weren't stuff to keep them entertained.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at that. We once spent kids for £1 on Cunard. And there weren't many. That was really good because we got 3 flights back from New York. So you've got to look at stuff like that. But then now my kids are grown up. Sometimes they cruise, sometimes they don't. But we don't want to now cruise in that time because it's busy, it's too hot, and it's expensive. So actually, then our whole cruise search has changed to outside those areas. I don't want it to be June, July, too hot to walk around and explore anymore. Yeah. But I want it to be warm. So the factors and everything you've got to consider just changes all the time. And plus, what we're planning for our cruise in February, is it February? Am I going on a cruise in February? Yeah.
You're not going on a cruise in February, yeah.
I knew it was after Christmas.
And I was like, are you? Yes.
So what would I do about you? I'm like, when's my next cruise? So if my point was, we wouldn't be able to get that cruise in
summertime peak.
Yeah, because it would be over double.
Yeah. And it would be very different as well, though. So, you're doing a February cruise from Miami. That will feel very different from a weather point of view, from a demographic point of view, to doing it if you were to do it spring break, Thanksgiving period, very different atmosphere on board that ship type of thing. So even that same itinerary, the same ship, will be very different depending on what time of year you do it as well, let alone how much it costs. Just the atmosphere on board will be very different. It's why me and Phil as well, we tend to do our kind of Med or Caribbean cruises, as you say, the same time as you. So if we're going to do Caribbean, we'll do kind of like September through to November time. Or if we're going to do the Med, we'll do the Med in kind of like the start of the season. So around April, May time. And usually when we're going away now, so late September, October time, just because the weather's a bit cooler. So Phil doesn't like to sit in the sun as much. So that's the deciding factor for us as well, which then sometimes could limit our itinerary options as well. So for this next Virgin cruise, when we picked it, we knew we'd done the Irresistible Med twice now. So I was like, I love it. It's my favorite Med itinerary on Virgin. But there's a new version this year that takes in Rome instead. So we had literally a choice of, I think there was 4 weeks apart, because it does, so boring, I know this, but it does French days, Irresistible Med, French days, Irresistible Med, and Rome. So it does that rotation. There's a couple of nuances where maybe it does one back to back, but in general, it does it over 4. So basically once every 4 weeks, she goes to Rome in general. So we only had 2 choices basically to do this itinerary. It was one in September or one in October. So that's why we picked it. It was down to, we want this particular itinerary, but we know we're going to do Virgin.
It's funny because I wouldn't cruise Caribbean in September. because I still worry
So
about.
when we've always taken time off. Yeah.
I still worry about hurricanes, and if you look at the last couple of weeks, it's been horrendous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's luck of the draw. It really is.
Is end of October going to be all right? I know it's at the tail end of the season, but it's been
Yeah.
a pretty active year, isn't it?
This year has been a very tricky season for the Caribbean, definitely. Like, and even the Med season though has been odd. Like, it hasn't been the usual Med season where you can predict by it. There's been a couple of voyages I've had customers on where they've gone and it's been quite grey and overcast. Like my May sailing was overcast for half of it. Like it was still warm, but it was overcast for most of my sailing as well.
Well, my friend's on Virgin now, so she's gone out of Barcelona. And she sent me a video this morning, and I thought, where's she gone out of? But then I remembered that they were in Barcelona yesterday. But it is quite. I mean, it's obviously
It was
warm.
really raining yesterday, wasn't it? I think.
Well, I haven't seen that, but she sent me a picture of like she sat on a sunbed. But it is grey, so it's obviously warm, but it's not sunny.
Yeah. This season has been unusually wet and grey for the Med, which I've never known a season to be this grey. There's obviously pockets of weather as weather, but it's been a really odd season for weather. Whereas last season, though, was the total opposite. People were complaining it was too hot, so everyone's gone and moved their cruises out of the summer peak season, out of like June, July, August, to move to the tail end, the shoulder season, because it was too hot, and it hasn't been that this year. It's been fine.
Yeah, it's been a funny old year, isn't it? I mean, I'm looking forward to getting to the Med in a couple of weeks, so let's just hope that all this weather moves on, all this torrential rain.
The temperature, I've literally got a blanket around me at the moment, which you can see on camera, just because the temperature has dropped, and it's dropped hard here in the UK. Like,
I know, heating's on here. But yeah, so it's a tricky one, isn't it? Knowing, choosing the time of year, like you say, your ship.
Prime example, though, was things like the Norwegian fjords as well. So there were only a handful of ships that sailed the Norwegian fjords, and it depends. So I'm talking purely from a UK perspective now. So if you're in the UK, this is what I would be telling to my customers. So there's obviously, you've got P&O. She does the Norwegian fjords pretty much most of the summer season. So around about April time through to kind of September, October time. Pretty much guaranteed. But say if you don't want P&O, you don't like P&O as a company, so what are your other options? You've got Royal, but Royal do maybe 2 sailings a year, 3 if you're lucky, to the Norwegian fjords. Cunard, they do a number, but they're sporadic. And I'm trying to think who else does it. Like Ambassador Cruise Line, maybe they do a couple a year type of thing. But you're going to be, if you don't like P&O, but you want to do the Norwegian fjords, you're going to be limited to select dates. So you're going to be choosing your cruise because of the dates when it's available rather than the ship, if you get what I mean. Yeah. These are all things like, it depends on the region you're doing primarily, but some of these like destination regions like Asia, Australia, Alaska, Norwegian fjords are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. They're all going to be very dependent on the season. So you're limited by the number of ships because there's not as many ships sailing in that time of the year. So the itinerary will dictate your choice rather than the ship. Whereas the Med, the Caribbean, pretty much you can say your ship will dictate probably which one of those you do.
That's it, because we're waiting to book Japan for the tail end of 2026.
Yeah.
And we know, and that is one place that it's going to be destination focused. Whatever ship is, it will be what it will be. We just know it will probably be a Royal Caribbean or a Celebrity. But like the fjords, would I do it again? Like when I look back, I loved all of it. But for me, the weather's just a bit depressing.
Yeah. You're not a cold weather fan though, are you? I don't think you would ever gravitate or rush towards a cold weather cruise.
Lapland is my idea of hell. Like when the boys were little, we went to Centre Parks Lapland every year. But yeah, it's just I wouldn't go skiing. I mean, what's the point of that?
God no.
Because when it snows here, it gives me the ump. And I'm not even a sunbather. I've got a giant hat. I wear my sunglasses and I'm under an umbrella, but I just want warmth on my skin. Yeah. And I love the fjords. I love sightseeing. I thought the fjords were beautiful. But yeah, I mean, the river cruise we did, that weather was perfect for me. It was perfect sightseeing
we lucked out so much on that weather, didn't we?
Yeah. And that's another, I mean, we don't really talk about river cruising much, do we? But But River Cruise, and Chris really wants to do another one. And the fact that you if you pick the right time, you've got lovely weather, you've got lots of places to explore. And I think that's the thing that for us is we really like exploring and so you've got to have something to see, but then you've got to have a good ship. And my strategy is, so obviously we're waiting, is it the 18th of October? So I'm actually on a cruise when the cruises come out for 2026 summer.
Yes.
And
So Royal 26, 27 goes on sale this month. Well, over the next couple of months at least anyway.
so my strategy will be to find the itineraries I like and then look at the ships, and then I'll go on to it. We have that post that tells us when they've been updated.
Yeah.
And I'll look at, because I don't mind if it's been updated, but I don't want to go on one that's not been updated at all.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think you've got to have, I mean, like the Mariner is a 21-year-old ship, but she was amazing because she's been updated. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for. It doesn't have to be the newest, biggest ship. Probably be a bit big for me. So looking at where's it going? Have they spent any money on that ship? So it's going to feel nice, because you don't want to go on something that feels dated.
And that's the thing, and everyone's different on this though as well. So like I've got a handful of customers, not many, because by proxy of what we talk about new ships, the latest technology. So I don't get many traditional timeless cruisers. Like, a lot of the customers who love Fred Olsen, they love Ambassador, they love Cunard, they love the kind of traditional timeless style of ships. They would gravitate towards that style of ship. You get me? The older, the timeless ships that have got a bit more kind of time at sea. They love that. They love the kind of ornate dark wood vibe. They love kind of the heritage where you can see a wall full of plaques of all the different destinations this ship's been. That's lovely. I couldn't care less though, if you get me. It's nice to look at, but I'm like, right, where's the next bar? Where's the next venue? What's the next entertainment thing? That's the biggest driving factor for me. But if you are somebody who still loves that timeless, old style cruising, and it sounds really like dismissive, it's not. It's a wonderful, delightful. I've been on a handful of those cruises and still have a lovely time. If I'm putting my money down, I know what I would personally gravitate towards. But there are still loads of ships out there if you still want to get that kind of timeless classic cruising experience. Cunard is the penultimate brand for that style. But again, Ambassador in the UK are doing some lovely, small ship cruises as well to some great destinations. P&O have got a number of ships as well that still have that very timeless classic feel to it, like Britannia. Who else is there as well? Obviously, some of the older Royal ships as well. Now, Royal are very much contemporary. Even their older ships are still very contemporary because they pioneered modern cruising, as we call it. But even some of the older Royal ships are very kind of still got that kind of timeless look to them as well, even if they are the more modern style of cruising, but still the promenades and all that type of stuff.
I said it's like, I mean, NCL's a prime example. I mean, some of their old ships are so groovy. Just give you a headache looking at the pictures. Like, look at it and think, geez, I've got a migraine. But the new ships are understated and stylish.
Yes.
And obviously times have changed, haven't they? And but I know that with Donna and Darren, who is my partner over at Cruising with Kids, she doesn't look at the ship at all. She'll just look at the itinerary and book. And she's been on some really old ships lately and had a brilliant time.
Yeah, she's convinced me actually to consider looking at some of the smaller older ships because they can be cheaper as well. Because obviously all the attention and marketing is on the new ships. Like you look at Royal and they'll be pushing you, Wonder of the Seas, Utopia of the Seas, Icon of the Seas. It's going to be the latest, newest ships because they've got to fill them because they're so big. But you can find some absolute gems and some really great prices. Like I sold a customer a transatlantic for just over £1,000 coming from America. And I forgot which ship it was, but it was, I want to say Explorer of the Seas. One of the older, smaller Royal ships that obviously comes over to Europe for the summer. She's found an absolute bargain on it because there's not as much attention on it. So the prices are really, really competitive. Or not, I wouldn't say competitive, just great because you're on an older, smaller ship.
Is that the one that I looked at and I'm not allowed to go because it's Jack's birthday?
I
was on the return. Yeah, I'm gutted about that.
Yeah, you were looking the return back, and some great prices on them type of thing because the headlines aren't on them. So they don't sell on name and prestige, just selling on kind of like availability, I guess the best way to put it. So you can find some great prices. I miss the days of cheap transatlantics. Like we booked our Disney transatlantic for like $2,000 back in 2018. The price now of a transatlantic makes my eyes water on Disney. Because they're so popular now. They were a necessary evil in the industry, so they were just selling them at like whatever it cost to get across the Atlantic and fill those cabins. But now people are purposely looking for those transatlantics and repositionings, and some ships are so expensive.
Well, if you look at the sailing we're doing in a couple of weeks, so we bought that as it came out, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we booked the last 2 suites available. Yeah. And we were talking about this with friends yesterday because it super early. It just feels like we've been waiting forever for this cruise. But you couldn't get that cabin for that price now because we just got such a good deal because it was so early. By the end of it, the balcony cabins were selling not far off that what we paid for a suite.
Absolutely, yeah. But I was saying, like, we booked the balcony cabin before we cancelled it, and the price we paid, I think it was about £2,000 for a balcony cabin for 14 nights at sea, type of thing. So if you think now, I think the last I saw it, it was going for just shy of 4 grand to do that same
Yeah.
sailing in a balcony cabin now. So that's it. And people think I'm lying, and I say this to them all the time. Definitely, we're opposite because we have access to things that the public don't have as travel agents. But generally, you will rarely go wrong booking early. Rarely, it does happen occasionally, but you can always potentially rebook for a fee. But you will rarely lose out on unique sailings now. Definitely repositionings, one-off sailings. Those prices are only ever going to go higher. They're never going to come down, type of thing. If you're doing round trips, like the 7 nights rounds from different ports, then that's up in the air about whether they'll do a quick sail that you may miss out on. But if you want to reposition in a one-way or a unique sailing, you will really miss out by booking the day or within the month of it going on sale.
I think my celebrity cruise has gone up by quite a lot now as well.
I can't remember now. I was looking at April and it was still really close to the price you paid.
Or was it?
But yeah, I think it's pockets though. I think it's down to pockets. I haven't checked yours now, but we were considering doing, well, no, it was September, sorry. We were considering doing the same in September that you're doing in February, and it was close to what you paid.
Right. So,
But then again,
I
it
mean,
probably would be because it's another 6 months on, isn't it? So it probably makes
that's
sense
it.
why it is.
Booking in advance definitely for me is where we've always got our deals. I don't think we've ever gone on a cruise that's gone down, ever.
Yeah, it really happens. In the hundreds of cabins I book a year, I can count on one hand how many customers have come to me or I've had to find it and rebook it at a lower price.
Mm.
There's usually a caveat to it of like, say for a Virgin, for example, yes, it was cheaper, but they didn't have the bar tab they had included. So the amount of bar tab they would lose to get the cheaper price isn't worth it. There's always some like nuance to it. It's never quite black and white. But yeah, it really happens whereby I book a cruise, if they book early anyway, and then it comes out cheaper.
Mm. God, I just can't wait. Oh my God. I feel like I've not been on a cruise for years. I mean, it was May.
It gets like that, doesn't it? Like I keep telling myself, like, it's been ages since I've been on a cruise. And like you and you were on one last month.
Yeah. And that's why I need to find a TA for next year. But having a child that has a birthday in October, I mean, he's 25 next year, but
Yeah.
he could have come, decided 2 weeks was too long, but then also wants everybody at home on his birthday. I don't get it, so we're not going. But if I can find one that's like a similar timing to this year, then I think we'll do it, because I just think it's the perfect way to wind down.
I do. We keep saying our Disney Transatlantic, we absolutely loved. It was probably the most I've ever switched off. Granted, I wasn't a travel agent, so I'm not sure how it would be now. As in, because we still always work, we've got customers traveling all year round, so we obviously need to be available all year round. But it was the most switched off I've ever won, because you had those 8 days at sea where it's not that you've got nothing to do, but you're not in a rush to do anything because you're like, it's another day where I get to enjoy the ship and relax and switch off, type of thing. Whereas when you're doing a port intensive itinerary, you are thinking, oh, right, okay, should we get out? And what time should we get out? And what time's the transfer? And how do we get to this place, type of thing? You're constantly thinking, type of thing. And then you're walking all day, then you get back and you're eating and then you're out. And it's a very different pace of transatlantic. You get a lot of days to just relax.
It's quite exciting from a content perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can get like
Yeah,
a
you got a
different
lot of time
area
to enjoy it.
every day. So that's really exciting. But yeah, I mean, it's we didn't really know where we were going with this, but I suppose
I still think we don't know the destination either.
Yeah.
Come along for the journey and where we're going to go with this episode.
But that is what booking a cruise is like. That is exactly it. It's like, I mean, when we booked the cruise for next year, it's, we've booked all Miami. We've just changed that to Fort Lauderdale. So originally when I booked it, I'd always wanted to go to Labadee Island. Obviously then the thingy happened.
With the conflict that's happening,
Yeah, so then we've been changed. I mean, they've moved a lot of people back, but we still seem to be sailing to Turks and Caicos.
So far,
I'm excited about that. I'm not a one for private islands, I don't think, now that I've done one.
Oh, I am. I love a good private island.
I just thought everybody got off and it was too busy and everyone goes to the same place. So we got off, it was the NCL one, got off, had a look, got back on the ship. It was packed, you couldn't move. So the benefit was the ship was dead. But no, I don't think I am now one for private islands because there's no history.
I don't know, because you haven't been. We were struggling to come up with ideas for the podcast, weren't we, recently? And then literally you just said about private islands. There's a whole series about private islands we could do. But yeah, you go into Perfect Day Cook, okay? I can't remember. No, see, you haven't been to Perfect Day yet.
Yeah. See, when we was on that NCL island, which was beautiful, it was just packed. It was just, you couldn't move. It was unbelievable. You
Yeah.
couldn't get a drink, you couldn't do anything. But I could see Labadee. No, I could see Perfect Day, sorry, and it just gave me the because I thought I
Oh,
want to
it's
go there.
amazing. So I'm quite lucky. I've been to Pivot de Coco Cay, I've been to Disney's Castaway Cay, and I've also been to Virgin's Bimini Beach Club. So it's not private island; they just have a private beach club on Bimini, and they're regarded as three of the best, like in the
Yeah,
Caribbean. Then you've got like I think it's Marine Cay or Ocean Cay, the MSC one, which gets a lot of positive reviews. People say it's a destination in itself. I think it's the case of the islands. I believe you need to go on one of those. Like if you go on
big
Perfect Day
ones. Yeah,
Coco Cay, honestly, I was blown away by Perfect Day Coco Cay. There's something for everyone on that island, and I kept
mm.
finding new pockets of places, and they're still expanding the island as well. Castaway Cay is just incredible. Very different vibe to Perfect Day. It's kind of like being almost shipwrecked on a private island type of thing, with obviously Mickey Mouse walking around. And even Bimini's amazing. That pool's incredible to sit there all day and kind of have that beachfront resort area.
Yeah,
Um, I'm obsessed with cruise private islands, but I'm quite lucky. I think I've been on some of the best in the industry so far.
yeah. Yeah, the one it was just there was two ships in. They split it in
And
half. It was packed. It was just we literally got on, walked round, tried to sit on a sunbed, and the bloke was like, "You can't sit on that. That's booked."
yeah,
Well,
no, see
I'll
that's
pay. I'll pay. No, 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 no. They just it was a nightmare. So we just was like, let's go back to the ship. When we got back, Chris hadn't got off the ship because Burnley were playing, so he stayed on the ship to watch the football. So when we got back on the ship, we were like, oh yeah, let's just chill around the pool, and there was no one there.
yeah.
But so maybe I need to try the better private islands.
I do think so, because that's become a deciding factor as well. So going back to this, why you choose your cruise, but there are people out there who are choosing to go on certain itineraries for private islands now. I get asked
Yeah.
all the time, Disney customers especially, they want to book the ones that's going to Lookout Cay, the new island, or there's even itineraries now you can do. And this is what we were thinking. So one of the mini cruises on the Magic is literally going to Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay. They're two private islands. That's all. It doesn't go anywhere else. It goes to the
No.
two Disney private islands, and that's it. Perfect Day Utopia, is doing nothing but Perfect Day Coco Cay and Nassau. That's it. She doesn't go anywhere else other than those two ports type of thing. So that is the destination itself, because people just want more time at Perfect Day Coco Cay, or they want more time at Castaway. There are a handful of itineraries where you do back to back. So you literally go onto the island for the day, come off, go out to sea, and then the following day you dock back in Perfect Day Coco Cay, and they sell out instantly type of thing, because people just want more time at these private islands, and that becomes a deciding factor for some customers as well.
Oh, maybe I'll have to try that then. But I do like culture and history, so you don't see that, do you?
Yeah.
But they're doing the new one in Nassau, aren't they, Royal Caribbean?
It's a beach club in Nassau, yeah, definitely. I don't know
Right.
when it's opening, but it's very limited from what I'm hearing. I think it's literally like 500-600 people. So everyone's rumorating, if that's even a word, that it's going to probably have a high premium, because it's going to be limited number of people, especially when you're going to get like Icon of the Season or Utopia or Wondering. It's probably going to be quite pricey.
So Nassau has been done up, hasn't it? The port, because I've seen so many things of just don't get off the ship, don't get off the ship. And then I just saw this video
Yeah.
the other day, this random video, and it looked amazing. I thought, why is no one getting off?
What I will do with Nassau is it's country bias, basically. So for a lot of the Americans, Nassau is the bread and butter port. Like literally, there's multiple. There's like 5 ships a day in Nassau, and you can't go on a Caribbean cruise without possibly hitting Nassau. So a lot of Americans on their cruises have done it to death, if you get what I mean. So it's kind of like for us sailing from the UK and going to like Rotterdam or Amsterdam or Zeebrugge, if you get what I mean, Zeebrugge. It's a great port. There's lots to do there, but if you go there all the time, you're going to be more inclined to skip it, because you're like, I've been there. And I think a lot of the people I speak to, I think if you come from the UK, you've never been to Nassau, you'll probably have a lovely time, because you've obviously got like the Atlantis Resort, you've got the beach clubs, you've got loads to do. There is a lot to do in the Bahamas from Nassau, definitely. But for a lot of Americans, it's a great skip port, because they've done it many times type of thing.
Well, we want to do, and if anybody's done this, please do let us know. There's a brewery,
Is there?
apparently. Yeah, not far from the port, that brews its own beer.
Oh.
So I think that's what. I don't know if I'll be able to drink any, but
Yeah.
I can always have
There's a
rum.
lot. I've never been, and I've never done much research into it, because our cruise with Disney didn't stop there, and then Virgin don't call their until 26 now.
Mm.
So I haven't been, but I've heard a lot of amazing things. Some people love it. Like they love getting off and going and either paying for one of the beach clubs. There's a really nice apparently nearby, a lot closer to the cruise terminal than you think, like a 10 to 15 minute drive away. There's a nice beach club that's not that expensive. I saw on
Right.
somebody's TikTok reel the other day. There's a lot of options for Nassau. Just it's got a bad name because it's obviously been gentrified quite aggressively as more and more ships are called in there.
But then, and this is the view I'm going to take, where I'm going to go open-minded, because when we went to Dominican Republic, I had zero expectation. And that was my favourite cruise port I've ever been to. So
And
I
that's the
think,
thing, isn't it?
mm,
It's like I say, it's going to be kind of country bias at the end of the day. These ports are the bread and butter ports for
yeah,
Americans
yeah.
at the end of the day. We feel the same. Like we love going to Amsterdam, but is anybody going to get excited about a cruise to Amsterdam? Not at all, type of thing.
I'll
You're
never
gonna
book a cruise to Amsterdam now, ever.
you get like
Yeah,
you can go out, you have had a lovely day in Amsterdam, but would I purposely book a cruise because it's going to Amsterdam? Not
no.
really. And I think that's how Nassau is for a lot of Americans. It is it's a regular port for them type of thing.
Mm,
Whereas I personally wouldn't say any of the Northern European ports. You could have lovely days out. I'm not knocking them; they're lovely days out, but I wouldn't rush to book a Northern European cruise to Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Zeebrugge, Le Havre, Bilbao. Again, not knocking them. You could have
I love Bilbao.
amazing cruises to them.
Love Bilbao.
I wouldn't rush. It wouldn't be a reason I
Yeah.
would book a cruise if you get me to do it type of thing. If it goes there, great, but I wouldn't go out of my way. But then I'm a Med fan. I love going to the Med. But even then, like,
Mm,
I don't care which ports in the Med I'm going to, as long as I'm sailing the Med type of thing. Whether I'm going to Marseille, whether I'm going to Toulon, I don't care really, as long as I'm sailing the Med. I just happen to
mm,
like the more Italian side of the Med than the French
mm.
side.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, the best port I suppose we ever in all of our cruise days was Monaco, and you don't get many cruises
Yeah,
that go into Monaco, and it was
not
amazing because
anymore now.
we docked, tendered in, walked up to the casino and Cafe
Yeah,
de Paris.
no.
It was amazing, and actually, when
Well,
we've been twice, and once we didn't get off a ship, and Chris had he was tired. He had a hangover from drinking too much beer on the first day. Definitely.
it
He denies it
happens.
to this day. And Top Gear were doing the test tracks for filming.
Oh,
So if we'd have
really?
got off, I mean, Jack's never forgiven me for not getting off with him. And then the time before, it was the Tour de France test track. So we've been really lucky
Right.
because both times there was
Yeah.
amazing stuff going on.
Well, they banned now, haven't they, large cruise ships from going there because it happened the year we were sailing Virgin, so 2022, I want to say. I can't remember now. Sorry, the reason I know this is the original version of the French Days itinerary with Virgin did go to Monaco, but literally about 4 or 5 months before, they cancelled it and changed it to Marseille instead because they banned all large cruise ships now from going into Monaco. So you definitely won't be able to go there now on a large ocean cruise liner. You'd have to go on a small ship cruise now.
What size are we talking?
Well, Virgin definitely, and Virgin, I don't know the gross tonnage, but she can take 2,700. And I class her as a mid-size, but everyone's got a different perspective on this. But I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we were on
One,
Grand Princess, so what's that? 2,200 maybe.
probably banned now. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
you're looking at like the likes of Azamara,
Mm.
ships, 700 max type of thing. I think that's who's going to get into Monaco now.
I think that's right, though,
haven't-
isn't it? I think small ports they shouldn't be sending the big ships in. I mean, I think going back again to Santorini. I mean, it's ruined it.
Yes.
It's absolutely ruined it, and their government's taking that money, and the cruise ships are obviously happy to go in and offer it because it's a bucket list place, but
Oh,
it's made it into an awful place.
here we go. I found now the official rule. So basically, it'll be they give preference to luxury or superior category ships of less than 250 meters and carrying no more than 1,250 passengers. So back in the day, that was a mid-sized ship, but nowadays
Yeah,
that's classed as a small ship, basically. So
yeah,
you are looking at none of the mainstream cruise lines anyway will have ships
yeah.
that
You're
low.
looking at
You're looking at
Seabourn
the
and
boutique, yeah.
mm,
Which as you say, more and more ports are doing this because they just can't keep up with the sheer number of passengers coming in now. These ships are getting bigger and bigger, and they're finding ways to put more and more people on them, and more ships are going to the same ports now as well. So I do think, and I want to at some point do an episode about sustainability, but we're thinking of trying to maybe get someone from Clear on or someone who's got a bit more
mm,
what's the word, credentials to be able to talk about
Yeah.
it rather than perspective. But it'd be good to kind of get some black and white kind of on sustainability and around not just cruising in general, but also about like the ports and social responsibility. But I do see more and more of the industry going this way, unfortunately, whereby there will be less ports for the large ships to go to. But it's the right thing to do, as you say, with ports, especially like Santorini, where once you're up there, it's fine, but it's the infrastructure around getting up to the top of Santorini that's the problem.
And I do think, I mean, all right, I'm going on what was one of the biggest ships in the world in a couple of weeks. But as a rule, I prefer smaller. Just definitely prefer smaller.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because
I'm a
I
mid-sized
can't always
person.
restrict.
I
Yeah.
as much as I say I love, like, yeah, stick a slide on there and stick this on there type of thing. I love the size of Virgin ships. I think this is why I've fallen in love with them because, that's, I don't know what gross tonnage, I'm so bad at remembering it, but I think she's the perfect size. She's got enough venues, enough choice, and enough spaces,
Yeah.
but she's not a mega ship. And I love Wonder of the Sea. She's an incredible ship, and I will sail her happily without a shadow of a doubt. But I would probably lean more towards what I call a mid-size, so around about the 2,000 to 3,000 capacity territory. I love Sky Princess. I think that's a fantastic size of ship. Virgin ships, Disney's, the Fantasy, the Dream. I think they're the perfect size ships for me
Yeah.
personally, what I like.
And that's what I loved about Mariner. Might be older, but it's interesting because obviously I've not done an Oasis class ship yet, so we'll see.
You'd be converted. You'd be like, unless it's an Oasis or an Icon, I'm not getting on it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be
I want a zip
Icon.
wire. I want
I am going to do it.
I want the ice ring.
I'm looking forward to it. I am really looking forward to it because that's what cruise is all about. It's all about variety and trying new things and different things, and that's what I like to try.
These large ships as well, the ship is the destination. There's no denying it. It does go to great places. You are going to have an amazing time exploring amazing ports, but there's no denying these, super ships or mega ships, large ships like the Oasis class, the Icon class, the World class by MSC. Prima to some extent, she's big, but capacity wise, she's not. The ship is the resort, the destination. You are booking it because of the ship first. There's no denying that. Anyone who says that, they're deluding themselves. You can get the same itinerary on cheaper ships elsewhere, but you're booking because of the ship and the facilities she has to offer. That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. And that's why we love cruising, because you can do both. You can cruise for the destination, the port, the immersion. You can book a cruise line like Azamara that will have, their intensive itineraries where you're going to spend a lot of time exploring the Adriatic or exploring the Greek Isles and getting a lot of time to explore kind of the smaller off the beaten paths and go to places the large ships can't go to. They just offer different sides of the same industry. And I get quite passionate when people get like, oh, that ship's awful and it's disgusting. And no, it's not. It's a different side of the cruise industry at the end of the day. If it's not right for you, that's fine. But there are people who have an amazing holiday and have an amazing time on a large ship at the end of the day. I personally would struggle on a small ship. Azamara is a delightful cruise line, but I think I would struggle because I like having multiple venues and multiple spaces. That's just what appeals to me. So it's a wonderful industry. I think people just need to be a bit more open-eyed to alternatives rather than dismissing things. Sorry, soapbox came out then.
Definitely. No, and I agree with you because actually one of my favourite ever cruises is probably Ama Magna. And that was a river cruise. And I just loved that ship. And that did have a few different restaurants. I think it was like the perfect world for me because not too many people. Didn't have to sit on with other people at tables, and because I don't like that. I don't mind talking to people in a bar, but I want to get away. When you're having your dinner, you want to relax, don't you?
You get me? Yeah.
So that was maybe my favourite.
Yeah. And I think this thing, like, probably this episode isn't probably going to help anyone, but I hope it kind of starts the conversation or the thought process of like, you're not wrong for being overwhelmed, I guess, in booking a cruise type of thing. You get in your Facebook group so many times where people are like, I don't know where to begin. I want to sail the Med and I've got kids. Help me. And they get so many suggestions back that probably overwhelm them again as well. So don't feel bad for being overwhelmed in trying to find the right cruise. That's why I exist as a travel agent to help you find the perfect cruise that you're looking for. And it's the reason why Sarah has a really successful kind of blog and website as well, with lots of tips and advice as well to help you find the right cruise type of thing. That's why we're here, is to help you kind of benefit from our years of experience in finding the right cruise for you to help you find the right ships. So definitely reach out. And Sarah, obviously you've got all your guides. Where's the best place that they can find all this information to help kind of start this journey, at least anyway?
So you can find us at cruisingwithkids.co.uk, and we've also got a YouTube channel which is got lots of just short videos, or we're on TikTok, but we've got lots of tips, lots of advice from years of cruising as parents and now
definitely
as well, I suppose we're empty nesters almost. Well,
Almost.
they're never
Soon.
leaving the nest. They're never leaving the nest. They just don't always travel with us.
They're old enough to leave the nest. Like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we literally have to push them out.
Go.
Wow.
And then equally as well, like I've got a really great cruise search tool as well. So if you are looking to kind of just work at itineraries more than anything, I'll link it down below. But we've got a really cool cruise search tool on our website. So you can pick by brand, you can pick by itineraries, departure port, all that type of stuff as well. So I will one day do a YouTube video explaining how to use it. But you can find that below. But if you want a bit of a hand-holding situation in finding your next cruise as well and want to go on that journey, we have consultation available where we can do a video chat much like this and talk about what's important to you. And I can help you find the perfect cruise. The best way to get in touch with me is on my website under magical-traveler.com, or you can search all my social media under magical TRVLR. Other than that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.